Hey everybody, on this episode of Crying in My Car, a podcast for teachers, we talk about the board teacher's trip to Canada. And we also talk about a teacher's trip to zero gravity. And then there's a teacher that put out a rap video featuring her students. Is it ethical or not? And lastly, we are going to discuss an unfortunate email mishap. Have you had them? We'd love to hear in the comments. Stay tuned. Crying in My Car starts now. Hey everybody, welcome back to Crying in My Car, a podcast for teachers. My name is Devin Siebold. I got James Yan, comedian, parent extraordinaire. I, former teacher. We're here to hopefully ease that work day and bring some laughs to you. I get a lot of messages, a lot of people at the show saying, I cry in my car.
Nice.
But I turn on the podcast and you guys help me get out of it. It's amazing. It's so nice to see all the support. You can support us by rating this 5 stars, writing a nice comment. Go to you're already on the podcast. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, go to the podcast itself, rate 5-star, and type in, these guys are the best, love them, they're awesome, and we appreciate you for all that help, support, all the sharing that you can do. Just so you're aware, I'm on tour with the Board Teachers Comedy Tour. I hope you get back on tour. I hope you get back on tour. Ever since the incident.
Yeah, we don't talk about it.
I'm just kidding. Anyways, May 9th, we are going to be in Springfield, Illinois. May 10th, we are going to be in Iowa. We're going to be in Iowa. Dubaki. We're going to be in Iowa learning how to pronounce Dubuque.
Yeah.
Dubuque.
Oot, Dubuque.
Okay, Dubuque. Not going to do that. Sheboygan, Wisconsin on May 11th. That's sold out.
Say that again.
Yeah, Sheboygan. I always like saying Sheboygan.
Come on.
I mean, it's just the best word ever. I just want to live there just so they can go, where you live? Sheboygan. Are you cussing me out?
Gesundheit.
Right. San Diego, California, May 16th. Los Angeles, May 17th. And then 2 shows, San Jose, May 18th. I can't wait for all those. That's going to be a great run.
Nice.
And I can't wait to get to Dubuque. And have them people yell at me for not being able to say Dubuque.
Gotcha.
Which, by the way, I was just in Toronto.
Toronto. Come on.
By the way, you don't say Toronto.
You don't say it that way.
Toronto.
That's how you say it.
Toronto. Yeah.
Toronto.
Yeah. So when you go there,
Not Toronto.
Toronto. Yep. Learn that very quick.
Okay. Do they stop and correct you? Like,
yes.
Well, listen, sir.
Yes. No, they go, sorry, but it's Toronto.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I never been to Toronto, but I went to Toronto.
Gotcha.
And it was awesome. Oh. Let me say, it's the 4th biggest city in North America. I didn't know.
I didn't know that either.
It was, to me, a cleaner New York City.
Oh.
Yeah, lots of stuff to do.
So no smells of urine?
No.
Oh, wow.
Amazing food.
Gotcha.
Food all over the place. I went to the big market. I went to the chef's hall. Some of the most beautiful food that I've ever had. I had a pea meal bacon sandwich.
What is that?
Sounds atrocious.
Yeah, it does.
It was delicious. So basically, it's like Canadian bacon.
Okay.
Where they slice it, and it was a bunch of it. I mean, ton of it on a sandwich.
Okay.
But it has like pea meal, which I don't think it's like grain, like cornmeal essentially, but peas.
Okay.
They like cook it on the outside, so it has like a little crunch on the outside.
I'm still with you.
Yeah, and they slice the bacon and they put it on a sandwich, and they it's a really good like soft roll.
Mm-hmm.
And I loaded it up with hot peppers, honey mustard, mayo, and tomatoes. And let me tell you right now,
It was good.
I was on board. Yes.
Were you really?
It was one of those things where you go and you get so disappointed sometimes. People are like, you gotta try, and then you try it and you're like, have you ever left the city? Because I don't think you would say you gotta try this if you've tried other things.
Now, tell people at home, one of our favorite things to do back in the day when we used to travel together, we would try food. Like, we would want to find, like...
I really think I should do, like, vlogs of it. Because I go and I try the rarest... I will walk into the weirdest places and go, I want what everybody else orders here that's from here.
Yes.
I want that.
I want that, too.
And so I did have some amazing meals, and I actually posted some of them online. I had an amazing chicken sandwich, which sounds just plain, but it was like in this unique barbecue sauce with a like dragon fruit coleslaw on it, and it was amazing.
Oh, that
absolutely
sounds good.
Amazing. And then one thing that I did try was the beaver tail in Canada.
Is it really?
No, it is. If you have never had one before, it is an elephant ear, but smaller.
Okay.
So, and I told somebody, I go, it's just an elephant ear. And they go, what's an elephant ear? I said, how do you not know what an elephant ear?
Have you not been to a fair?
Yeah. I know. So it's fried dough, essentially. They had cinnamon sugar on it, and it was delicious. They also had, you could get hazelnut, and lemon was a like real popular one, like a lemon juice squeeze
just
over top of it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which is interesting because I wouldn't think it was good, but everybody said try the lemon one. And that was delicious.
Sounds good.
One of the best things, though, that I had there, one of the best things is I went to this place called King Eddie.
King Eddie.
And it was in Ottawa, which might, if we're just going like Toronto, might be pronounced Awawa. Because I don't know, we're just taking T's out in the middle. I went to Awawa and went to King Eddie, which was, I look up what's the most popular place around here. What is the good food? I look at the menus, there's something unique. And they had this sandwich, which was like the Moonlight sandwich or something like that. And it was an egg with cheese on a biscuit, but the sausage. So it had sausage in it that was spicy with maple syrup throughout it and crisp on both sides. Like they put the maple syrup down and cooked the sausage in the maple syrup to where it was crispy on the outside. And then they, that was amazing. With, on top of it, which is wild, they had a garlic aioli that like sealed it all together.
All my foodies, you understand what I feel right now.
Yeah. So I love the food in different places. And I went around and I tried everything local. Want to try this, try that. I went into the big market. I went to Chef's Hall. And it was, by the way, funny story. I was in Toronto. And it's like, I don't know, 11 degrees outside Fahrenheit.
That's
And it's 11 degrees Fahrenheit outside. It's snowing like crazy. And I go into this marketplace, and this place called Caviar, like Express or whatever.
Yeah.
It had like luxury goods. And one thing they had, which I am the biggest fan of, and unfortunately Whole Foods does not carry it anymore, is candied salmon. So have you ever had candied salmon?
I've never had candied salmon.
So they basically smoke salmon, and then they give it like a sweet bourbon glaze.
Makes sense.
They cut it up into like salmon nuggets. It's amazing. I saw it there, and I said, oh my gosh, I said, that looks amazing. She goes, well, we catch the salmon, and then we smoke it on property using our own recipes and our own wood that's grown on property. And we use a glaze that we've like perfected.
Signature glaze.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, I'm buying this.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is I'll get to this in just a second. It was $30 Canadian, and I'll tell you why that's important in a second.
Okay.
And I got this smoked salmon, and I literally grabbed it, and I go, oh no. I go, I don't think I have a fridge, and I got a 2-hour walk back to so I was walking. I walked all of Toronto.
Okay, let me make sure.
2 hours, yes. You're not exaggerating. 2 hours. It was 5 miles.
Okay. But it's 14 degrees outside?
11.
11?
Yeah.
You're walking.
I was well bundled, but I really wanted to walk. And so I had the gloves, I had the hat.
But you're in a freezer walking, basically.
So that's what I told her. I go, I don't have a fridge. And she looks outside, she goes, you are the fridge.
She is
and
right.
I was like,
Oh, yeah.
True.
True. That's how programmed we are to be in Florida. Yep. We're like, oh, it's too hot. Oh, no, it's not.
I can't go outside with refrigerated stuff.
Yeah.
I have groceries. You know, it's like I got back to the hotel and it was colder than when I bought it. I had to thaw it out in the window. It was awesome, though. It was really cool there. But one of the funny things, James, is when you go there, everything's in Canadian money.
Yes.
And your bank account, you just swipe it, and it just converts it into American money.
Yeah.
But the exchange rate is like 70 cents to every dollar.
Okay.
So everything is essentially like 30 or 40% off. And that was the worst thing that I could have discovered early on.
You went crazy.
Because I felt like it was all free.
Yeah. You went nuts.
I'm like, ooh, $50 Canadian. That's like Monopoly money. Slide. I was just going everywhere, just buying everything.
It's free in Canada, like your healthcare.
I went to the Raptors game, and I there was like a sweatshirt I wanted, and I told Mark, I said, man, I really wish I could get that sweatshirt, but it's $100. And he goes, Canadian. And I was like, I'm buying it. It's free. I'm buying two.
Two of them.
I don't know why, but the Canadian, it just is,
That's funny. Gotcha. You bought an actual Raptor.
Yeah, I did. I bought an actual, came back with a Raptor.
That's perfect.
But it was a lot of fun. And, man, we had so many good times, good jokes, good people.
Nice.
Canada, to me, was nice, friendly people. Teachers that loved their job, were passionate about it.
Gotcha.
Teachers that I think were so over the top, aware. Like, it's weird, but there's a cultural awareness there that you don't have in the United States.
In what way?
Like the Raptors game, before the anthems of Canada and America, they have an entire 5-minute segment dedicated to the indigenous tribes that were there before them. And when I did some conferences in Canada, they acknowledged the native ancestors that lived on the land and gave thanks to them before the conferences started. And they speak multiple languages. There's, English and French, very common in those areas. And they're just so much more aware, to me, culturally, of we are a worldly people.
Gotcha. Of their own history.
I think in America we tend to go, I don't look beyond my residential area.
Yeah.
The people that I associate with. I don't look forward, I don't look backwards. And I feel like there's much more awareness in Canada to what came before you, who's coming after you, and the present tense of being all inclusive.
I love that.
Yeah.
Shout out to Canada, man.
Yeah, it was very cool. But I hope to go back. I really do.
Gotcha. Was that your first time there?
First time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Now, let me tell you something, too. Their security is different.
What do you mean?
So going into Canada, let's say you go to the airport right now.
Yes.
What do? You scan at TSA, your boarding pass, you go through, you board the plane.
Take my shoes off, do all the things. Yeah.
You board the plane.
Yeah.
When, I'm not making this up, by the way. You're going to think this is making it. When we were flying in Canada to another Canadian city, we flew from Toronto to Ottawa.
Got it.
When we were flying there, I came in, I scanned my boarding pass, scanned my passport at the desk with the lady. Then I go around her and she goes, drop your bags there. And so I go up to the guy and I put my stuff down and he goes, scan your boarding pass, scan your passport, scan my boarding pass, scan my passport. And then the bag goes in. He goes, thank you. I go around to their TSA and they go, scan your boarding pass, scan your passport. Scan my boarding pass, scan my passport.
Wow, again?
Yeah. And then they let me into the lane, and then I put my stuff up, and before it goes into the metal detector, the guy goes, I need to see your boarding pass and your passport. I'm like, I've walked 6 feet. And I pull it out, and I go, here's my boarding pass, here's my passport. I go through, okay? They flag me something, and they did a brief pat down. They go, okay, now can we see your boarding pass and your passport? I said,
you serious?
Sure. Yep, so I showed it. Then I go to get on the plane. I scan my boarding pass. They go, can we see your passport? I said, sure. I go down the jetway. Before I get on the plane, the guy goes, you can't get on the plane till we see your boarding pass and your passport. I go, there's a tunnel. There are no doors on this tunnel. Why are you being so crazy? I mean, I fully expected them to be like, peanuts, boarding pass and passport.
You're the pilot. What do you do?
Before we land, I'm going to need to see everybody's boarding pass and passport. were coming down the lane.
Security's not a joke.
It was literally like the guy on what is it? The Polar Express. Just coming through. I was shocked at how thorough they were. And I was like, I mean, I think it was good. Maybe we're a little too lax in the United States.
Yeah.
But also maybe they're a little too much
over there.
Yeah, over there.
There needs to be a happy medium.
Yeah, I'm on the plane sitting next to a grizzly bear and a moose. And I'm like...
They had their boarding pass.
They had their boarding pass. He checked his antlers.
That's funny.
And, yeah, but it was wild. But I can't say better things about Canada. I really had a great experience. It was just so bitterly cold. We arrived on their first snow of the year.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it feels different. Like, because you've been to snow places before where it's snowing.
Yeah.
But up there, does it feel like, well, this is...
I don't know. I didn't feel like it felt as cold.
Okay.
I don't know, but I don't know, maybe
Well, you did eat like half a pound of hot ham.
Yeah, so, but also there was no humidity. My lips are still recovering. Oh. My entire face was cracked of dry skin. I felt like SpongeBob when he goes to visit Sandy in the dome, and he's like, "Sweaty." Gotcha. You know, that was me. So, yeah.
God bless you, man.
But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great, and I really hope to come back soon. I told my kids, I was like, I think we want to go back to Toronto and visit and check it all out. Go see a Blue Jays game or a Maple Leafs game.
Family vacation.
Man. Oh man, I think so.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. So overall, great experience. Hope to be back. I know that Board Teachers does have some more dates in Canada. Vancouver is coming up, and I think they're working on some additional dates too. But Vancouver, the tickets should be dropped by the time, or at least close to the time that this episode drops.
So you know what that means? More salmon and ham.
More salmon. Yeah, exactly. Can't wait. I'm gonna get some pea meal bacon. All right. Next up, let's go into the teachers in the news. I'm going to preface this teachers in the news.
Uh-oh.
I had a hard time compiling it because what we thrive on here is controversy.
We do.
We thrive on things that are going crazy in the teacher world. Well, while I was researching this, I was in Canada.
You were?
And I pulled out my laptop in Canada.
Yes.
And it picked up Canadian news because it's like, obviously you're in Canada, you're going to want to watch Canada news.
Absolutely.
So I typed in teacher, and it's like the most boring news.
Really?
It was all great. It was all like Canadian teachers this, and this teacher celebrated for this. And I'm like,
I was going to ask you, when you were talking about the tour and actually being in Canada, I was going to ask you, what is the social climate for teachers there? How do they feel?
Like, they feel pretty good. I mean, they get paid well. And obviously, you don't have to worry about things like one of the big kickers here that we're fighting over, especially in Orange County, Florida right now, is health insurance.
Yes.
You know, and health insurance is, they're trying to tack on, adding a spouse for health insurance is $1,200 a month.
That's crazy. That's unaffordable.
It's taking half your paycheck.
Yes,
you know?
absolutely.
And I don't know if that number is exact, but I believe that's what I saw when I researched it briefly. But so stuff like that, health insurance is taken care of. They get paid a lot better. They have supplies that are given to them. They have usually a better climate, you know, and more. The students, I think, are a little bit better prepared because parents care more there. So
are the kids' culture different there too?
Yeah, I think so.
Gotcha.
I mean, I don't know exactly because I haven't been in the classroom up there, but from what I gathered, I did talk to a lot of Canadian teachers and just was like, so, you know, what do you think? And a lot of them honestly were like, oh, it's great. And I'm like,
what? Wait, that's it? Yeah, nothing else?
Yeah. And they're like, yeah, c'est bien.
They're like, they should try the salmon.
Right?
There you go.
And so it was difficult because I had to, you know what's funny? Let me tell you, I'm not making this up, by the way.
Okay.
I Googled teacher, found nothing interesting in Canada, just like one or two articles.
Yeah.
Then I remembered my phone, for some reason, detects that I'm in Texas on the antennas when I was in Canada. So I did it, and it said my location's Texas.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was wild. I don't know if it just routes it through there. The cell phone towers somehow get to Texas. So I connected my thing to Texas, and then I Googled teacher, and I was like, oh, there we go.
Oh, there it is.
No shortage of stories in Texas.
Yeah.
So, I found a good one, though. I wanted to start off on a positive note. This one's out of Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay.
There's a Fort Worth teacher that leaves gravity behind to inspire students. There's a Fort Worth Academy middle school teacher and a science teacher, and apparently this person was able to, a few weeks ago, actually go up in one of those zero gravity planes. Yeah.
Nice.
So this person loves space. I want to make sure I get the name right. Man, they take a while to. Oh, Lauren Parker. Lauren Parker. And so Lauren Parker is, she tells, I love this line. I love this line. That's why I pulled up the story. She said, I tell the kids all the time, I want to be an astronaut when I grow up. And they kind of look at me like, aren't you already grown up? And I say, oh, no, you're never really done growing up. And I think that's fantastic. That's the message to these kids that you need to send. Sometimes when we're like 15, 16, it's like, oh, we need to decide. College is coming. I have to decide right now. And then you get that degree, then go for that college, and you go, oh, well, I have to, I'm pigeonholed, into that decision I made when I was a teenager. Not true.
No.
You can branch out and keep going and do all sorts of cool things. So anyways, there was a pretty cool program, and she was one of 8 teachers chosen to perform experiments aboard the weightlessness plane. So I think that's outrageous. That's pretty cool. And she was able to take that knowledge back down to the kids and say, look, here's what I learned. Here's my experience. And talk about setting a cool example.
Oh, come on.
And going, look, I'm into science. I'm passionate about it. I pursued this. I got this cool experience out of it. Mm-hmm. I can pass my knowledge on to you. And I bet she was probably ecstatic. When you see your teacher energized, that energy is infectious. I mean, it just really does.
She is officially the coolest teacher in that whole school.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'm going to ask you, would you ever do that? The zero gravity?
100%. I would love to do that.
Okay.
But I actually did it. And not intentionally, but...
What? Wait.
So I was flying. We went to Salt Lake City a few weeks ago, and we were leaving the show.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding, James. I've been on flights, a lot of flights.
Yes.
I have hit turbulence left and right to where you see people, bring out the rosary beads.
That is funny
I've
because
seen that.
We both did, and it was Salt Lake City. Again,
Salt Lake City to me, always terrible because it's between the mountains and you've got a flat for the wind to build up. Mm-hmm. And I just don't think it's good for planes, but whatever. Well, I'm taking off. It's 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And James, when I tell you, okay, we hit it and it was coming up. We were trying to get out of there. The plane started shaking. The plane started going. And I texted Kate. I said, hey, it's a little rough, just letting you know. Things are a little rough. We're taking off.
Yeah.
A minute later, the pilot comes on, and I never heard urgency in a pilot's name, in a pilot's voice.
Yes.
The pilot goes, guys, just got word from the FAA. This will last approximately 5 minutes. 5 minutes, all seat belts buckled. Do not stand up. And we are, still taking off. Bro, the second that he ended that, fell. Just fell. I'm out of my seat. The seatbelt is the only thing holding me in. I'm going, whoo! And we start side to side, left to right, shaking, going down, going up. And he came on and he goes, 4 minutes. And then he goes,
God.
3 minutes. Counting down 2 minutes. And I texted Kate. I'd never done this before. I texted her. I said, I love you. I love the children. Just letting you know. I was terrified. I've got texts of me going, please, this is what's going to happen with, here's the access to this.
Yeah.
Here's how you get into this account. Oh my gosh, dude. I've never.
And you fly all the time.
All the time. So that weightlessness, been there.
Okay, all right. So you've done it.
I'm a hero.
Gotcha, you are.
But let me tell you what was so weird is he goes, 1 minute, and I'm at my watch the whole time. That 1 minute passed. All of a sudden,
what was that? How do you explain it?
It was just terrible turbulence coming out of there, man. But
it's funny
was
because
horrible.
Normally, you fly out at night, it's a smooth ride. But when you leave Salt Lake City, like you said, and we've done it before, that's the worst turbulence I've ever experienced. Ever.
Every time I go through there, I go. And that's why it didn't bother me at first. Because I'm like, Salt Lake,
Yeah.
But then as soon as I heard the urgency and we fell, that first fall, bro, I'm talking like Tower of Terror, like everything's up. I had to grab my phone because my phone literally was on my lap and it goes, and I went, and I was like,
That is insane.
Yeah.
God bless you,
It
my
sucked.
friend. All
right, back to the teachers of the
There you
news.
go.
Sorry, you
man.
asked. That
Sorry,
was a
I
little
did.
divergent.
That was good.
In Quebec, this one, man, I don't know who I see the nefarious means behind it.
Okay.
But I'm very much skeptical about this being a terrible thing like they're saying.
Okay.
Parents are filing a $1.5 million lawsuit after a Quebec teacher is accused of selling the students' artwork online. Yeah, apparently this teacher is an art teacher and said, he gave an assignment and said, look, I want you guys to create this. And the art that he wanted them to create was creepy portrait is what he wanted them to create.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you right now, if you Google this, there are some fantastic drawings. These kids were good.
Okay.
Apparently so good in these creepy portraits, so abstract, so unique, that he decided to post them online with artwork from different students going as much as over $100.
Ooh.
Yeah, and so I don't know. It does not say if anything was sold. But it does say that all the artwork was posted. The kids discovered and said, hey, I drew that. And the artwork was posted for sale online. And so they are suing under the Canada's Copyright Act, $500 to $20,000 per work under Canada's Copyright Act. And
that was that many?
Yeah. So, well, no, it's just how much they really want you to protect copyright. So there's strict punishments there.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. But they said that the artwork prices varied, which if I'm a student, I look at it and go, why is mine $30?
That's funny.
Wait a minute.
Wait a sec. Ooh.
You find out you're listed as the $500 on the copyright. It's like, what?
Wait.
Why's James $20,000?
I'm so much better than him.
But the interesting thing is that you hear from the parents, and one of the parents says, my daughter has been into art. She loves art. And this year, after seeing her professor selling this online, she said, I don't think I'll do art next year. And,
man, that's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate, but I don't necessarily buy that. Because if I'm the kid, and my teacher took my art to sell online for $100, I'm going, wow, I made some cool art.
Yes.
And you can make a living off of it.
Yes.
And you can sell your art online.
Yes.
And I don't know. I mean, it's a terrible thing. Obviously, this teacher should have came to the kids and said, look, I think this art is fantastic. I want to sell it online. Maybe even came to the parents. I'm going to sell it for $100, and we'll use some money to fund a field trip or something like that. Obviously, self-profit is not ideal in this situation.
No.
But you could have that money going back into the school and say, look, let's start. That's a huge learning opportunity. How to create the art, sell it online, the economics of it all.
The process, the business.
Yeah.
That could have been great.
Obviously, the way this person went about it. Yeah, but I don't know. I'd feel a little bit inspired if I was these kids.
I would start making it right away.
I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at the art. Some of it's awesome.
It looks great.
Yeah, it looks great. Colorful, different, abstract. I love it. I think it's great. I hope that these kids are inspired and go, look, our teacher tried to sell it. Maybe we should try to sell it. Start a career out of this. Have this be the thing that kickstarts. Years from now, you can go, remember when our teacher tried to sell the art? Well, now I'm actually selling it for $50,000 in a museum.
Yeah, I think that art teacher actually inspired those kids two ways. One, they can actually go out and sell their own art. And two, the power of litigation.
Yeah, very.
That's how you done it, man.
Okay, there's a Detroit area teacher. This one, she was fired after parents complained because she was a rapper. A side hustle as a rapper. Now, I've read a lot about this story. I read about it when it dropped.
Okay.
Not her single, the story.
Her mixtape.
Yeah. But this Detroit area teacher said that she was fired because of her complaint about a side hustle as a rapper. I don't believe that's true. Because the early reports that I saw come out said that she was fired because in her debut as a rapper, she put out a music video that had her students in it.
Ooh.
And they said, you can't use the students for that. Well, now she got fired, and now she put out a music video with her students in it. Like, a lot more of them.
Okay.
Kind of like a proverbial back at you.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
Just because I'm confused. Why would you not be able to put your students in the video if they had permission from their parents?
Well, I mean, they might have permission from their parents, and that might be okay. But I mean, if there's curse words and stuff like that, I mean,
it's not a good look.
Not a good look. It wouldn't represent the school district very well. Obviously, they go, this person is a teacher. It's going to come back to which school do they teach at? Oh, they use the children. Oh, even if the parents okayed it, the school's going to look like we okayed it.
Yeah.
You know,
I get that.
That's a hard thing, you know, to say. Like if you were, you know, a Walmart greeter and put on your vest and did a whole rap video and had people from your workplace in it, Walmart's going to be like, yeah, that looks like we endorsing this.
It, yeah.
So I get that's what they're trying to do. But anyway, she came up with a video, Drippin' 101, singing and dancing with some of the students that she previously taught. It's doing well on YouTube. I hope she has a career, you know, you never know. But yeah, so she did put the video out now with the students in it.
Gotcha.
Kind of, you know, clapping back at them. I don't have anything against this. I don't think they should have fired her. I think they maybe should have been some reprimands and some, hey, just so you know, here's the code of ethics. Here's what we're supposed to do.
You can't do that.
Yeah. But now that she is fired, you do what you want.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell you can't. Yeah. And if the kids are okay with it and the parents are okay with them being in the music video, more power to you. Whatever. Yeah. I mean, if the kids get inspired by it, who knows? Maybe one of the background kids is going to turn into the next Lil Wayne.
There you go.
Who am I to say? And it's Detroit. I mean, that's a cultural lifestyle that is huge there.
Hip hop is huge in there. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not looking at it in a negative light. But also, you got to look at why she was actually fired.
Hey.
It wasn't side hustle as a rapper. I don't think they would just fire you for that.
No.
Because I know teachers that are rappers.
Yeah.
And that do explicit. And
but to keep it separate.
Completely separate. They have a different name. You know, they don't advertise hey, that's who I am. You know?
Whoever that teacher is, respect. Ex-teacher. Ex-teacher.
All right, this one. I read the headline, teachers to be given 1 day off a fortnight. And I was like, ooh, yeah. This just goes to show you how cultured people are in Canada.
That's right.
Because I was like, wow, 1 day off a fortnight. They get one and a half a year or
2 weeks,
5 years, or Google Fortnite. No, I don't want to play it. No, I spelled it wrong. Sorry. It's 1 day off every 2 weeks.
Yes,
and I did not know.
I only know that because I have a joke about my son.
Oh, you do with the Fortnite?
Yeah, the Fortnite.
Awesome. This is a pretty good idea, but this is St. Peter's Catholic School has told the teaching staff every fortnight, 1 day every 2 weeks, you're getting an extra day off.
That's not bad.
The reason being is the principal said, look, we have a teacher shortage. We don't have a lot of teachers working here. We were like, how can we motivate staff to stay? And how can we get more people back in? Guess what? The second they announced that they were giving off an extra day every 2 weeks, they saw an increase in applicants. As soon as they announced it. Just having that little extra time off, teachers to have that 1 day every 2 weeks, you get a Friday.
Yes.
And you know what's funny is you can give them the day off, and I guarantee they'll still come.
Yep.
Because they're going to go, oh, man, I have a Friday off. I can plan.
No pressure.
No kids there, especially the elementary teachers.
Yes.
I can cut up this, and I can put this on the wall. This will be amazing. And they feel better prepared. The kids are going to get better lessons. Now, obviously, they don't have to come. That's the other thing is you can just go, you know what, man, I'm really spent. This week has gotten to me. I'm going to really enjoy this 3-day weekend. Now they're coming back rested on Monday.
Yes.
The pressure and stress is a little bit less. I'm all for it. I've seen the 4-day work weeks.
Me too.
And we say they work, but maybe this is a good segue into it.
Absolutely.
And maybe we'll help the parents out a little bit easier because finding, every single Friday to find childcare every other Friday, you might be able to pay the local neighbor kid to come over and watch your children for a little bit.
Yes.
And it takes a lot of financial pressure off. So hopefully.
This tells me that people really value their mental health. That's what that is.
Yep.
When you can just kind of decompress and be like, okay, I got 3-day weekend coming up. It just takes a little bit off you, right? Like,
I would think.
Oh my goodness. I would love that.
All right. This one is something that's out of Alberta. Again, I was still in Canada.
Yes, yes, you were.
This one is one that caught my attention because I've read a lot of stuff similar to this here in the United States. It says a teacher has been injured. There was an assault, a minor incident at Chestermere Lake Middle School in Alberta, Canada. And what I noticed right away, is it says that the youth will be charged with assault causing bodily harm. They have been arrested. One of the things that we don't do in the States is show repercussions for assaulting a teacher.
Yes.
You know, sometimes it's like, okay, well, they were assaulted, but it was handled within the school and they were suspended for 5 days and they'll be right back. And this one shows how serious they take it. You know, that, look, this was an actual assault. Mm-hmm. It's kind of weird, but, you know, when I always thought it was odd when I was a kid that there was this unique umbrella that the school system was under that exempted it from outside laws.
In some things, yeah.
If there was a fight, you know, and we're beating each other up.
Yep.
They would just separate you and go, all right,
you go that way.
2 days you can't come here, 2 days you can't come here.
Yeah.
But if we left the school and went into the 7-Eleven across the street and did the same thing, police.
That's right.
Charges.
That's right.
I didn't understand the umbrella of safety around consequences that are in the outside world from the school, you know?
And it's just perception, I think, because they still look at those students as kids, quote unquote.
Yeah. And I mean, they are kids, but also they have to understand that.
But the law's the law.
The law's the law. Yeah. And you're also setting an example, because a lot of kids think, oh, you know, if I get into a fight outside of school, they're just going to say, I can't come back to this movie theater for 2 days.
That's correct.
There's bigger consequences.
Yes.
And not being introduced to those bigger consequences when you're in the learning stages of life.
You said it.
Is I think detrimental to them.
Absolutely. Like our school, and when I was in high school, it got so bad with fighting that they started implementing that. If you fight, you will be arrested. And it deterred a lot of fighting.
Really?
Because there needs to be some consequences. It had gotten so bad because people figured out, like you just said, if I fight, there's not going to be any repercussions that I can't deal with. Oh, you're going to send me home on a little vacation? Have at it.
You know, and especially nowadays, because sending people home is a vacation.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a lot of parents out there that do not side with the school under any circumstances.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I mean, under any circumstances, there's no way little Johnny is to blame for this.
How dare
Therefore, you come home because they wrongfully sent you here, and you play video games all day long and enjoy yourself. Then it's like, then there's definitely no consequences.
And use DoorDash if you get hungry.
Not only are there no consequences, there's actually positive reinforcement now.
Yeah.
Now it's like, you beat that kid up, good.
Good for you.
Sit down and enjoy some ice cream and watch TV and check out Drew Carey on The Price is Right.
Because ice cream's for a salter.
I don't understand. Yeah.
It's crazy.
All right. This last thing. So this is not a Teachers in the News.
Okay.
That's all the Teachers in the News today. But I wanted to bring up one last thing that I found online.
Okay.
And I want to know if any other teachers have had to deal with this. I know that I've seen it, but I can't recall the exact instances, but maybe you have. So when you get hired at a job, they usually will give you a company email. And that company email has a format. First initial, last name, or last name, first initial, or, such and such 415.
Absolutely.
You're in district 415, and that's what they have.
Absolutely.
This teacher had an unfortunate name.
Oh.
Not in its natural sense, but in the email sense. And I thought it was absolutely hysterical, but there is a Greg Roper. Greg Roper got hired as a teacher.
Yeah.
And the IT guy apparently sent an email and said, look, normally we go with the first initial, last name. I don't think Groper.
No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So sorry, man.
Is a really good way to introduce yourself via email. So here's the interesting thing is they fixed it and they made it Roper G.
Okay.
But the principal came back and said, no, you can't do that. They have to be first initial, last name. But this is the thing.
Why?
The IT guy said, but I just don't think it's appropriate. And they said, we have protocols to follow.
All right.
So they gave him the email. Well, he sent a welcome email to all the parents and all the students.
Oh.
And they got an email from Groper at such and such. Well, apparently the principal then called the IT guy and goes, hey, what's going on? I'm getting a lot of messages and calls from parents. and they're very concerned. And so they brought the IT guy down, and he goes, yeah, I tried to warn you. And he's like, warn against what? She goes, read that out loud. And she's like, and yeah. So
I see.
Right. So apparently they said, okay, let's do with Roper G. That's probably the best way to go about it. Now, when I read that, I was like, man, I've seen that before. I've seen that. And I would love to know, do any of the teachers out there have any experiences of having your name or, somebody else's name where you see the email and you're like, ooh, maybe it shouldn't be that way. Yeah. Now, I will say what was the one thing that I remember about me. Is my middle name is Christopher. Okay. Now, for some reason, they messed up putting it in the beginning. And they put my first name as Christopher Devin Siebold, not Devin Christopher Siebold. And then somebody along the lines messed up and like shortened it for like the emails and stuff in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I kid you not, I would get emails in the beginning and it was like, Christ, can you help with, and I'm like, what? And it was like, and they'd get calls to school. Do you have Christ there? And they'd be like, in our hearts. he's not. But they kept referring to it, and I would get checks, and I'd have to go back to them and be like, my name's not Christ. It's Devin Christopher Siebold. Please just get it right.
Yeah, please.
And for years, it was corrected at one end, and it wouldn't be corrected over here,
funny.
and it would just keep coming back. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I looked up one time like a background check, and it was like alias Christ. And I was like, no, how did this happen? I don't go by that.
That's funny. And you're like, also a Christian rapper.
I know. I'm just sitting there like, how did this occur? But yeah, so I would love to know if there's teachers out there that have had that particular thing happen to them. And all right. So this last one that I want to talk about, there is a teacher in Saskatchewan.
I love that.
We're going back to Canada. Okay. I was surprised I was able to pull up these websites, by the way, because you never know.
Oh, yeah.
But there was a teacher who says, look, and I wanted to bring this up because it's something that I'm seeing across the board. I did a state of teaching on the teacher shortage and how paras being pulled out of the classroom is hurting us. It's really hurting special education teachers.
Okay. And
this one, there's an article, and it says why I left, and it's a former Saskatchewan teacher who calls for special needs support. And I read it, and it's a very interesting email. And she says, look, I taught special needs ages 5 through 21, and my teaching experience was at first amazing. She said at first, she goes, I was blown away because there was support and services available. She said, however, after her first year, they started doing budget cuts. She said, over time, the English language support was gone. The educational assistant was gone. The community support worker was gone. They said they normally had a chef employed by the school for nutritional programming. The programming was gone. Increased stress associated with the budget and cuts all across the board. And says that when she first started, she said, I felt like I had a lot of support. Then all of a sudden I had no support. And this is where I'm sitting here reading it. She's a teacher.
Yeah.
Okay. And it says it's a school for students with multiple complex disabilities. She said the majority of these students, she said, were using wheelchair mobility devices. She said as a teacher, she was required to do things like feeding through a tube, feeding support and supervision. Many of the students required toilet and personal care support. And they also said that they required things like routine medication and diapers, and said originally they had a nursing staff, full-time nurses to support them. Well, then they started to do budget cuts. And she's like, look, and this is where it gets dangerous. This is where people don't think about these cuts being as big as they are. But she said, look, there's all of a sudden an expectation for her to administer things like medication, to handle feeding duties. She's not licensed for that.
No, she's not. No.
What if, she said, what if, and this is her quote, she said, what if I give a student medicine, and I give it to them, and they don't take it, or they put it in the back of their throat, and then they spit it out later, and they have severe consequences from that later.
Absolutely.
I'm not licensed to deal with this. I can be sued heavily. I can lose all my licensing that I do have for special education. And she said there was just being a teacher all of a sudden went from just teaching to performing nursing, full-time care duties, and learning about procedures that were even different from her own beliefs and what the kids should be handled with.
That is extremely dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, reading her story was interesting to me because you see the way this is a teacher who came in the way it should be. And you think when a budget cut happens, a nurse is not something you think would ever go.
At all.
But now we're seeing like essential support, not even just extra support.
No.
Like, oh, I'd love to have some extra hands here. It's like, no, I need those extra hands here.
How can she do it all herself?
I don't know, but she said that she left. She said, and this is an interesting quote too. She said, "I remember being struck when a nursing friend of mine says that if a patient falls, you have to let them fall because it's a risk of injuring yourself and there being problems within the insurance industry." She said, "But in teaching, that's not the attitude they have. You hurt yourself to protect the students. The students come first, not your own health." And she said that she was afraid she might be liable in terms of an accident. She said that there's just too many what ifs in this industry.
And she left, right?
She did leave.
Let's talk about how hard that must have been for her to be like, okay, I love what I do. I love helping these children. I can't stay. And I don't know who they're going to get to replace me, but I can't stay.
Not only, I mean,
you know what I mean?
Obviously terrible for her because she is passionate about what she does. She loves what she does. And she was in a position where she said, I was blown away. I loved my position. Then she left because her position turned into 20 different positions. Now you also have to say, now the kids are out the teacher.
Yes.
They're not only missing the nurse and the care and the mental health, they're missing the teacher.
Yes.
And they're getting somebody else who may not be as qualified, who may not be as passionate, who, then it's like these kids need this care. And the parents are depending on the schools to provide it, and they're not able to provide it.
No.
And it's like, at what point does the system break when it comes to that kind of stuff?
I think it just did.
Yeah. I mean, well, obviously for her in that scenario, I can't imagine that those kids are being well cared for.
No.
And that kind of stuff, hopefully there's some legal ways that the parents can pursue to force the funding. But, it just blows my mind sometimes the priorities of us as a nation, where we will strip a nurse from a special needs student, and on the other end, we're building billion-dollar tanks.
Yes.
And we can't afford the nurse for the special needs student. And I understand they're different budgets, but let's be real.
We're just talking about
money's
the
coming
world
from
itself.
the same place.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a special needs class. You can't take the nurse away.
No.
Apparently
you can, and apparently now you're taking the teacher away too. So, frustrating, but I wanted to bring that up because obviously I'd love to hear your opinions on this. Are the para shortage getting to you? I know that when we do these tours, there's a lot of special needs teachers out there, and they come to the school, and I always say, they go, I teach special needs, and I say, do you love it? And they go, and I hear this all the time, I did. And so I'd love to know why it's changed from I do to I did. What's that momentum that we're not seeing. So, all right, we'd love to hear from you. Be sure to reach out. If you got any stories to share, if you got any news to share, just hit us up any of the social medias. Be sure to check me out on tour. Again, I will be in Springfield, what is it again? Dubuque. Sheboygan. It sounds like a rapper like dropping the next. Sheboygan. San Diego, Los Angeles, and San Jose, starting May 9th through 11th, and then the 16th through the 18th. Those tickets are at the boardteachers.com website. And James, how can people find you?
You guys can find me the same way you always have. James Yon Comedian on Instagram and on Facebook. Please like, comment, share all this hilarity.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode of Crying in My Car, a podcast for teachers. There might be a clip up there. There might be a clip down there. If it's got our face, if it's other people's stuff, come back. Don't click on that. But us suggested things. That's us crying in my car. Devin, Siebold, James Yon, board teachers. Watch. New trailer for Indiana Jones. No, don't do that. Don't do that.